Hello, I'm Nick. I go by the name Recider on the internet. And today I'm just going to be going through a few of my shots. In this shot, I go into depth about my creative process.
I try to hold on to as many memories, ideas, and experiences as I can, but I am terrible at organizing them. I usually get
I'm in
lost
this
in here.
labyrinth, which is kind of how I view my brain. I would say the cardboard box is one of my favorite symbols, so you'll see it often in my videos. I think it's like a beautiful subject to film. It's ugly and it's plain, but anything can be inside of it. I spent like a month just going to my neighbors, my family, my friends, and collecting all of their old any kind of cardboard box. And I was keeping probably 50 or 60 of these boxes in my parents' garage for a month, which I feel a little bit bad about. And once I had amassed my collection of boxes, I went in to my apartment and I constructed the labyrinth. Everything you're seeing up to here is going to be real boxes. Beyond the border right here, everything past this point is just my living room, like dirty dishes and my shoes and my couch and all that kind of stuff. So to really sell the image, I tried to kind of have the boxes surround me and kind of just be weighing down on me to create this cavernous feeling. And then from there, I used Photoshop's Beta AI Generative Expand. I used that to kind of build out the rest of this ceiling because I wanted the cavern to feel a little bit more spacious. And then I kind of went in and created this haze effect with a light shining through. The haze is something I add in post as well. I added some dust overlays to create some more texture and some particles just to make this cavern of boxes feel old and ancient. There's definitely tons of haze overlays, dust particle effects that you can find online. Footagecrate.com, they have a great VFX library. I guess my style is mostly still shot on tripod, and it really works well with adding in these extra VFX assets because there's no need to track or have to learn any like Blender or After Effects or anything like that. So this is my ceiling fan light in my living room. And as I was expanding out the AI generation, it was following this light and building it out more. And it was originally very faded, but I really liked what it was doing. And so I went in to Premiere and added a white square, dropped the opacity to 1, switched the coloring from white to yellow, and kind of created my own light here. And then with that, I went in with some dust particles, some haze overlays, and kind of gave it this glowy, smoky feel as it's coming down. Almost as if there's a little bit of sunlight peeking through, but just a tiny bit. My beanie is catching a little bit of the ceiling light, but mostly this right here is coming from a C-stand, probably using I think it's called the Amaran 200, that's coming down and highlighting my shoulder here. And it's mostly hidden behind these practical boxes, but I did go in and I was able to cut out the light itself. You see that I'm mostly standing in this very same spot, and whenever I can do that, it makes it super easy to just have lights right up next to me, getting all these nice little highlights that you see like coming off my arm, and then I can just cut them out super easily. I think my style is born from my limitations. It's really easy to just have lights and equipment piled up on the edges that would normally be revealed by the horizontal image. For me, it's always like my lighting comes first, and then my blocking is navigating through all the limitations that I've set for myself. Let's look at the next one. Ooh, okay. I like this one. In this shot, you're just seeing me hold the puppy and take in my surroundings as I prepare to move onward with my new companion. The only real thing about this shot is right here where I'm standing. This is the only like part of it that I filmed. Where I live, there's not really like giant open wastelands of desert. So I went to a construction site where I could find like a little dusty patch. I'm shooting on the Sony FX3, and I always shoot vertical. I never shoot horizontal and crop in. It's important to be intentional with what you're trying to make. I use the generative expand to build out this wasteland from that. I used it with the sky, and then for the ground, just these patches of burnt grass and texture going on right here with the sand and the rocks. I did, of course, spend some time collecting a lot of Amazon cardboard boxes, and the ones close to me, probably all of these guys, these are all real cardboard boxes. And then I went in with the Amazon logo, added those as well, just for a little detail of storytelling. I spent a few hours creating these little patches of boxes, build up these stacks, and then from there, the generative expand could kind of learn and adapt. So you'll see like these groups of boxes that are cropping up. And with every little patch of box is kind of its own individual generative AI prompt. I'll put it in box and it'll give me something crazy and something that completely doesn't fit with the image. Because you can't just take this entire image and be like, generate me a wasteland of cardboard Amazon boxes that are all broken down and piled up and messy. It just won't be able to pull it off. So if you go in just little patches and you take your time to kind of try to get the details right, the AI will learn and follow your vision. One of my favorite details about this shot is just these little lights that are shining through the smog in the distance. In my apartment, I went to the rooftop, took my camera on a tripod, pointed it at the city skyline, just slightly out of focus, and captured the bokeh for a good 5 minutes, kind of creating my own little stock footage. And since the lights are on the night sky, that's super easy to overlay onto these boxes. In Premiere, one of the blending options for an image is screen. And if you take anything that's put onto a black background, then screen will just immediately erase the black and only leave the highlights. I do everything on Premiere. I'm blending the VFX, I'm coloring, I'm editing. I think Premiere's got a pretty solid coloring system. It doesn't compete with other programs like DaVinci, but I'm still kind of a beginner when it comes to color grading, so I haven't gone that advanced yet. I love showing scale, and with scale, it's really, really important to understand where all these objects lie in your image. And so making sure that you're blurring and showing the distance and showing them fading into the background and really helping the audience grasp the distance the objects are from your subject. One of the original cuts of this shot was just one of these spaceship boxes, and it was super, super large, and it was hanging right above me. If you do something like that, you lose a little bit of perspective, and throwing it in the background and adding more boxes just helps the audience interpret the scale. Another part in blending comes down to texture. The two textures at play here is we have the smooth cardboard and then we have the rough dirt. I like to only have like 3 or 4 different textures in an image. But yeah, texture, scale, coloring, those are probably like my 3 biggest tools when it comes to blending. Trying to be consistent and intentional with that really helps sell a heavily computer generated image like this one. On to the next shot. I had just received an email for an opportunity that was super scary and exciting.
Netflix invites you to the movie premiere of Hitman.
I wanted to create this tense, not necessarily horror, more of like a thriller kind of tone. So to do that, we started out with the weather, and this is a lightning flash through the windows. You hear some rain sound effects, the big boom and the bass of the thunder coming through. There's not like a practical lightning, like light occurring. I've just got a LED just flashing over and over and over. I believe Premiere has a freeze frame feature. I froze them when they were dark, like this one, and then I froze some light ones, just going frame by frame and just play with the opacity to create a lightning looking flash. You're seeing a little bit of light coming out from behind the computer. This is just a little mini LED to kind of give the computer a highlight. And then the table itself is going to be lit up by that spotlight, just giving a nice faint highlight to this table. The lighting I have is just a random collection of LEDs that I've acquired over the years. I've got a few Amaran 200s. I had some RGB LED. They're just the very miniature rectangle ones. I use it in every single one of my videos. It's the most versatile light. Super easy to just tuck into any little corner or hide in any little pocket. And I think the LED tube light's great for just nice, soft, subtle lighting. On to the next shot. So technically, none of this is mine. So we first started out with a top-down drone piece of stock footage of this highway, which I really loved. I love these crossing lines. I think I pulled it from probably Storyblocks I was using at the time, which is a pretty solid stock footage website, but just loved all these leading lines and all the cars moving by. Just created great depth through the movement and the placement of all the different roads. I don't believe this road was here. This road was from a different stock image. And so I cut it out and I put it up here and then added in a little bit of shadow underneath to add some depth and bring it to the main focus above, separating it from the rest of the highways kind of going on in the background. From there, I found some stock photos of this Honda Civic, and then some stock photos of these cop cars just top down, and then through coloring, I blended it to this nice orange and blue color palette, added a little bit of shadow. I usually just take the original subject, so the car, and then I'll duplicate it, just drop the exposure to fully black, throw in some blur, lower the opacity, and then I will tuck it underneath right here. These police lights, and I pulled from, again, my favorite VFX site, Footage Crate, and I went in for each police car and added in the flashing lights that you see here. And you'll see the helicopter is going to fly by here. That's a helicopter. The helicopter is going to fly over the highway, and also as the helicopter blades are whirring by, it's going to flick up some dust onto the lens. And that's just adding a tiny little bit of texture to kind of make the audience believe that the camera is actually there. It's actually looking down at the highway, and this isn't just a bunch of stock videos and images that I've haphazardly collected and thrown together. I think short form content is perfect for generating curiosity because you can only fit so much story into a 15 to 60 second video. I don't know, it's very personal and intimate, but there's this much larger world that's happening in the background, and we don't get to see it all. We see just a small little sliver of it. Last shot. So this is from one of my more recent videos. In this shot, you are seeing me reach into a cardboard box filled with books. The company Amazon has taken over and banned all books from society, which is, of course, inspired by Fahrenheit 451. It's a dystopian world, of course. The entire video took place in a forest during the day. This shot was a last-minute decision by me. The night before I planned on posting the video, probably like 2 a.m. at night, I was in my apartment living room trying to figure out the best way to show this. Originally, the plan was to take a cardboard box, put the camera at the bottom, and then kind of have my head looking in. But I felt it didn't really feel right. So I wanted to create something with a little bit more depth that would hide my face, but would still show all of these books that are here. So I took a bunch of different cardboard boxes, I cut them up, and I kind of threw together this like ceiling of cardboard, which gives the illusion that you're inside a cardboard box, but really it's just me like stacking a bunch of cut out pieces of cardboard on top of each other, which are balancing on like a bunch of pillows. And then these books are on like my coffee table in my living room. I was able to put the camera down low, and that gave me a lot more depth to shoot upward into the ceiling of cardboard. if I really wanted to sell the daylight in the middle of a forest, I took my favorite piece of equipment, which is my C stand, and I put my Amaran 200 spotlight, cranked my exposure up. I think my ISO was at like 12,000, and just blasted light straight down. I really, really loved the way that this like heavenly kind of light was shining down on the books here. If the exposure was turned down, like just even a little bit, you would catch the detail of the ceiling fan blades, which would then suck. Really made a mess of this paper. Those were a few of my shots. I hope this was enlightening or anything. I hope this was something. And yeah, that's it, I guess.